get this shit show started, okay? I'm on a bad mood right now with the fucking Colby Covington not showing up whatsoever. But anyway, let's get this card started. Piera Rodriguez versus Josefine Knutsson. I thought Josefine Knutsson was the better striker. She's a better kickboxer. Had shown that she was able to, you know what I mean, stuff takedowns in the past. But apparently in this case, she couldn't do it at all whatsoever. Got taken down, got controlled. And for all 3 rounds, except for the second round, there was a moment of like, let's be warriors, let's give the fans what they want. Other than that, for the most part, no, but it wasn't too bad. Like, the crowd was, honestly, UFC Tampa was probably one of the best crowds of the year. They were hyped about every single fight. They were cheering for everything. They had fun with this fight. There was blood everywhere. Like, Knutsson was busted open. But for the most part, Piera Rodriguez probably won every single round. I would say round 2 is questionable just because Knutsson had some success. But for the most part, I would say Piera won every single round. And that's what happened. My pick was wrong. Sue me. I dare you. Anyway, Davey Grant versus Ramon Taveras. Another one of those rounds where, like, I thought Ramon Taveras was landing the better strikes, but in terms of just sheer volume, this is going to be a quick fucking video, man. I just can't take this shit anymore. Davey Grant, for the most part, was outstriking him. I lost money, by the way, if you guys couldn't tell. And Colby Covington just didn't show up. Just going to mention that again. Colby Covington's a bitch. Old, washed, frail. Only the old fighters that I bet money on don't show up. Everyone else, for some reason, gets KOs. Cub Swanson, old fuck. Terrible for the sport. Was his last fight. Couldn't even do the job on the way out. Might continue to fight anyway. Isn't content with not having CTE right now. Wants more CTE. Let me get back to this fight, by the way. Davey Grant. Davey Grant ends up winning because of the sheer volume of his striking, in my opinion. Just volume strikes Ramon Taveras. Ramon Taveras ends up losing. In the second round, I thought Ramon Taveras did better than Davey Grant. And the better shots. Actually dropped Davey Grant at one point, and the second point also, but I think the second time he dropped Davey Grant, he just lost balance. In the third round, Davey Grant came back, out volume Taveras significantly, 128 in my opinion, 2 rounds to 1. Davey Grant clearly won. Another old man getting to take money from the UFC while the fans, you know what, Davey Grant's a fun fighter. I don't care. Brad Taveras won. Miranda Maverick versus Jamey-Lyn Horth. Thank fuck for Miranda Maverick winning, because honestly, Jamey-Lyn Horth was looking dangerous in the first round. The striking was close. There was some grappling exchanges that Miranda Maverick ended up winning. Second round comes around. Jamey-Lyn Horth outstrikes Miranda Maverick on the feet, takes her down, controls her, gets a rear naked choke in. Miranda Maverick gets back to her feet. Eventually, I thought she lost anyway on the feet, you know what I mean? Lost on the feet. That Colby Covington guy. He's a real piece, isn't he? Anyway, third round, Miranda Maverick gets the takedowns, gets the takedowns, controls it for a while. There's a normal thing on the feet. Jamey-Lyn Horth eventually gets back onto her feet, strikes with Miranda Maverick, and Miranda Maverick, honestly, in the quite last exchanges, all the commentators were saying, oh, Jamey-Lyn Horth's gonna go now, she's gonna go now! But then she goes at it, gets pieced up by Miranda Maverick, so loses anyway, so sucked into her. You suck, bitch. I mean, valiant warrior, Jamey-Lyn Horth is one of the best we've ever seen. I had money on Miranda Maverick. My first leg won. Amazing. Miles Johns versus Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima. As you can see, I had Felipe Lima, but if you watch my video, I actually did switch up. So actually, I did have Miles Johns because I thought he was good at fighting. Miles Johns got pieced up completely by Felipe Lima. Even on the ground, the jiu-jitsu was better for Felipe Lima. Won every single round. I thought Felipe Lima did. Outstruck Miles Johns, who didn't look the best in the world in my opinion. Was a fatter dude, more thick. Was looking for that one-punch knockout blow, but couldn't really find it at all. Lost most of the rounds, and Felipe Lima ended up winning. Mixed martial arts is all I'll say. Felipe Lima ended up winning. Should have much here. Oh, this finally. Right, the card was amazing, by the way. I'm making it sound boring, but every fight that I've explained to you so far has been really, really fun. Next up, we have Woodson versus Fernando Padilla. Fernando Padilla looked very, very amateurish compared to Woodson. I say this, Padilla came out swinging guns ablaze, for firing on all cylinders towards Woodson. Woodson ends up surviving. Finally, after a while, lands enough leg kicks to Padilla that Padilla actually gets dropped through leg kicks. Later on, Padilla goes for a knee up the middle, puts pressure on his bad leg, falls over, hurts himself. Not hurts himself, but you know what I mean. Falls over and, yeah, loses the round, in my opinion. I thought he lost the round. I don't know what you thought. If you thought... Actually, the round ends after that, because on the feet, Sean Woodson catches the chin of Padilla, KOs him. Amazing KO, by the way. I think Sean Woodson probably deserves a 50k bonus. But it's hard to make the argument after the main event where Buckley just basically destroyed Colby Covington every single round and finished him off. Good on Woodson, though. You know what? I like Woodson. I think the guy can enter the matrix from time to time in the cage. I think he has enough talent in him to potentially even challenge for a title if his chin does holds up. Work on your takedown defense, and I think your striking is good enough to be a title contender, Sean Woodson. I'll be honest with you. I think you're very talented. Very good. I think if you fight someone in the top 15, like in the lower end, I think you can beat them. I think you're very good at fighting, Sean Woodson. I have money on Sean Woodson. I want money. Yoel Alvarez versus Drakkar Klose. Oh no, not Drakkar Klose. He's the old man though. He come in to fight. Drakkar Klose. No! Fuck Drakkar Klose. I could give less of a shit about Drakkar Klose. He's an old man. Get him out of the sport. He looked fat. He looked bulgy. He didn't look like he was in shape. He looks like the metabolism is finally catching up to him. Joel Alvarez ends up eventually just KOing him. Yeah, just ends up KOing him eventually in the first... I think it was in the first round, I believe. Let me just check anyway. My memory's not the best right now. He did end up finishing him off. I'm making this video quick because I can't be fucked. I'm going to get some food. This card has pissed me off. It was in the first round, 2.5 minutes in, like 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Finishes off Drakkar Klose, makes him shell up, drop him. Actually, no. He lands a knee up the middle while Drakkar Klose begins the cage, and while Drakkar Klose is basically passed out, he's still standing somehow, leaning on top of Joel Alvarez. Joel Alvarez is just like landing more strikes as he's passed out, drops to the ground. He's out cold. Oh no, not Drakkar Klose, but he one of the good ones, man. He one of the good ones. He one of the fun fighters. I don't care. Get him out of the sport. He's old as fuck. He's never going to be anything. Joel Alvarez could make something of his career still. I'll give him that. Drakkar Klose is too old to do anything. Get him out of the sport. He should retire. Older fighters should lose. You know what? Older fighters should lose, but then they win whenever I bet against them. And whenever I bet with them, they always just end up losing. Terrible. Drakkar Klose is... I'm yawning just thinking of Drakkar Klose's next fight. It's probably going to be a bullshit prelim fight that no one cares about, and then he'll lose anyway. So that's Drakkar Klose's career. Bye-bye, Drakkar Klose. Have fun with retirement. I hope you've saved enough money, because if you haven't, there's no more chances for you to make any more money in fighting, because it's over for you. Bye-bye. I picked Joel Alvarez to win. He ended up winning. Ottman, Azaitar versus Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson ends up winning. A brutal finish, by the way, as well. In the second round, at the very start. Not the very start, sorry. 2 minutes into the second round, he gets a brutal finish. In the first round, he was piecing up Ottman Azaitar. Ottman Azaitar wasn't looking too bad. But that's the thing with Mr. fucking Potato. Fucking potato eater. Fucking potato head. Mr. fucking Potato in his balls. His balls literally made out of fucking starch. That's what he is. And he got starched. His head is a fucking potato. It literally just draws starch to it. Terrible hairline. Terrible beard, in all honesty. He looks terrible with his face. He looks like a bald man with a beard. Looks almost pedophilic. Looks almost like a person that would be on a list of sorts, I would say. But that's Ottman Azaitar in the first round got pieced up by Michael Johnson, who looked fat and out of shape, like fat Allen Iverson. If you guys know who that is, it's a basketball player. He is not in the best shape anymore. That's what Michael Johnson looked like. Came in, slept in the second round. Good on him. Azaitar, you have a glass chin, man. Just get out of the sport. You're terrible at fighting. You have no chin, even if you might have the skill. You are undefeated at 1 point. You're on a 3-fight slide. You are a drug cheat. You are terrible as a human being that you're trying to cheat in this sport. And when you haven't been cheating in this sport, you've been slept over and over and over again. You are not good enough to be here. Go away to a different sport, potentially potato peeling. Fuck you, Ottman Azaitar. Loses me money. Goes away. Navajo Stirling versus Tuco Tokkos. Mr. Tokkos, honestly, I feel like kind of exposed Stirling. I'm saying exposed in a loose term. Stirling arguably won every single round. In the second round, I thought Tokkos did win on the feet. He did not get completely pieced up. Don't listen to anyone that tries to tell you so. That's not what happened at all. It was a close round on the feet where I do think Stirling was winning, but then Tokkos just ended up mixing in the grappling. Now, again, he didn't do too much damage after grappling, but a dominant position in grappling is a positive position for you. Something that he got for a while in the fight. I thought he won the second round, but overall doesn't change the fact that Stirling won every single other round. Pieced up fucking Tokkos. Fucking mince beefed him, in all honesty, but he didn't really. He's still raw. Tokkos is still raw beef. Loses the fight. Terrible. Tukos fucking pizzeria. Loses the fight. And I'm still annoyed. And it was kind of like, Stirling was like an undefeated prospect. Adesanya said he was a great fighter. Looked okay against Tokkos, but didn't look too amazing against a guy that he was a minus 900 favorite against. And the UFC, the betting sports bets are trying to scam you anyway. These big favorites, they never fight like big favorites. They always fight like, fighters at the end of the day. Terrible stuff to watch. Daniel Marcos versus Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez ends up losing this fight by decision. I think it was a close fight. I think Marcos did enough to win. The second round was close. I think Adrian Yanez did enough to win the second round though. In terms of striking on the feet, I think you let his hands go a little bit more in the second round. Daniel Marcos is undefeated. He looks good. Was throwing some leg kicks here and there. I think he should have thrown some a little bit more of them, and he would have gotten Adrian Yanez potentially out of there with enough of them, just based on what I saw with Jonathan Martinez. Daniel Marcos looked good. Eventually ended up just piling up enough. Beat Adrian Yanez, man. Third round, first round were both Daniel Marcos's. There was a split decision, but Adrian Yanez was pretending. At the end of the fight, he knew who won the fight. He looked disheveled. He looked like, oh man. But then in the decision time, he was pissed off when they didn't raise his hand, basically pretending, sending himself to a state of delusion. Shut up, Yanez. You know you lost. Don't be pissed off. You lost. You lost the fight. Shut your fucking face. Next up, Dustin Jacoby versus Vitor Petrino. I shouldn't be swearing as much as I am. I'm going to stop swearing, but I'm actually not going to stop swearing because that was one of the most crazy knockouts of the year for sure. Dustin Jacoby looked great on the feet in the third round towards the end of it, because for the most part in the first and the second round, Dustin Jacoby really wasn't letting his hands go, to be honest. Vitor Petrino was, though. Vitor Petrino was letting his hands go, was striking with Dustin Jacoby. He was looking kind of decent, in all honesty. Overall, Vitor Petrino ends up finally chinning... dude, I'm flying through this card, I don't care. Eventually, Vitor Petrino finds the chin of Dustin Jacoby. No, not finding the chin. He was outstriking Dustin Jacoby, who apparently had the better boxing, I thought, in the coming to this fight, but whatever. Dustin Jacoby ends up throwing some leg kicks. I'm guessing that was told to him by Anthony Smith, who basically crippled Vitor Petrino after a couple of leg kicks in their fight. Vitor Petrino fight back some more of his own leg kicks, but for those jabs and all that stuff, Jacoby was busted up. Vitor Petrino was looking good on the feet, had some power in his hand, definitely more power than Dustin Jacoby. But with a minute 30 left in the third round, by the way, Petrino I think won the first two rounds. With a minute 30 left in the third round, I said to my friend, there's enough time for me to knock him out. A minute 30 is plenty of time. My friend said, well, is that your boy just being a massive dickhead? Because he is. As he said, as the last syllable of the word, is that your boy? Leaves his mouth, Dustin Jacoby lands a big left and a massive right. Or sorry, a massive right and a massive left to follow up. I can't remember. KOs Petrino. Never count out the power of being a training partner of Anthony Lionheart. Alpha male. Just kidding. He's the most beta of any fighter that's ever fought. But yeah, good job to Jacoby. Gets it done. Call out Smith and retire his ass. Just turn on him. Fuck Anthony Smith. I had money on Jacoby. He won. Manel Cape looked honestly incredible against Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva looked good in his fight against Manel Cape, but for the most part, I thought Manel Cape kind of just completely pieced him up every single round. Like in the start of the rounds, I was like thinking, oh well, whatever, you know. I think Bruno Silva's being underrated, but then all of a sudden, fucking Manel Cape enters the matrix. He is literally doing the Adesanya, you know, the last style bender that he did against Anderson Silva, the taunt, the pose. He did that to Bruno Silva because he despises his Adesanya. He wasn't as like an honor to Adesanya. Look how cool I am. I want to be like Adesanya. No, he was like, oh, I could mess up Adesanya's face if I wanted to. I'm a wild, ferocious cat and I can just scratch it all up. It's basically what the intention behind that was. And then later on, he was just doing more taunts. The Anderson Silva taunts to Bruno Silva. Don't get me wrong. He looked great. And he needs to work on his wrestling. Because if he works on his wrestling, I think he's the best striker in the division. His striking is incredible. I think him versus... Honestly, I think him versus Brandon Royval is the next fight to make. I think Pantoja should fight Kara France as a title defense, because that makes sense. He's the only one he hasn't beaten in the top 5. Or hasn't beaten multiple times, I feel like. That is still coming off a win. Royval versus Manel Cape for the next title shot after that. I think Kara France versus Pantoja. I think Brandon Moreno should be fighting Tatsuro Taira. I think down the card, we should be looking at Akaya Asakura versus a Steve Erceg fight and like on the main card of a pay-per-view. Honestly, all these fights could be main card of pay-per-views or even main event their own fight nights, because the flyweight division is very, very good. Don't listen to the casuals online. It's a really good division. But yeah, Manel Kape just pieced him up, man. And I'll say one more thing. Bruno Silva, for the most part in that fight, every time Manel Kape was like getting his motion going and like looking like, okay, if he puts it on a little bit more, he could potentially finish Bruno Silva would poke him in the eye, kick him in the balls every time. Eventually in the second round, the referee said, enough is enough. And he took a point away from Bruno Silva. Good on the referee. I don't think it really matters because like I think Bruno Silva knew that he was going to lose every single round. Just the way the second round was going and the fact that he lost the first round, he'd be fine with it if it meant he could weaken Manel Kape enough to eventually catch him. But luckily for him, Manel Kape in his last finishing sequence of Bruno Silva did land a low blow, which the referee didn't call. Beautiful poetic karma. Bruno Silva goes down. Manel Kape follows up, finishes him off. Beautiful to see. Manel Kape versus Royval, title eliminator. Make it happen. And get Mikhaev back, man. He doesn't deserve this. I get it. You don't want him to beat everybody that you want to promote. Mikhaev ain't promotable. He's a wrestler. Shut up, Dana White, you dumb, bald steroid monster. Anyway, want some money off of this, by the way. Didn't end up mattering because you know why it didn't end up mattering? Because Cub Swanson decides, you know what, I'm actually quite good at fighting. Ends up, you know what, but Conrad wasn't going to go anyway. He was like a journeyman, exciting fight. It was a very good fight, by the way. By the way, the finishes we've been seeing were fucking amazing. Just amazing finishes so far. Cub Swanson gets another one of those. Honestly, Bruno Contillo was probably... Okay, it was a 1-1. I think Cub Swanson won the first round. The first 4 minutes of the round was just Cub Swanson being too fast. Having power in his hand, just catching Bruno Contillo here and there and just outstriking him and just landing the more significant strikes, in my opinion. Bruno Contillo eventually fires back and he's like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to lose this fight in the second round. And eventually... mixes some grappling of his own, and then mixes in some striking, and is eventually able to, you know, piece up Cub Swanson, who's 40 years old. Keep in mind, an old fighter that's beating a young up-and-comer. This young up-and-comer is probably thinking to himself, wow, I beat Cub Swanson, that's a name on my resume. I beat Cub Swanson, I'm in the co-main event of a fight night. It's a huge spot for me. We're in UFC Tampa, apparently the biggest gate for a fight night of all time. It's going to be amazing. And then all of a sudden he gets chinned by Cub Swanson, 1-1 going to the third round. Gets chinned. I think Bill Conchon was winning that round, by the way. Until he got chinned, he would have won that fight if the fight went to the decision. Cub Swanson eventually catches him with a fucking brutal combination, like right, left, or whatever. And Bill Conchon just goes out cold. Like, I mean, out cold. Like, out cold. Out cold. Like, he was not moving after that KO. And that's it. And then the ref jumps in. Cub Swanson doesn't get any follow-up shots on. And despite all of that, Billy Contillo, out cold. Dead. Headshot. Bang. I blame Billy Contillo. Turns out he is a scrub and should probably just fuck off. Anyway, salty because of this fight. This is the fight you've been waiting to hear from. My entire mood has just been destroyed. My friend told me he's picking Colby Covington, but he wants Buckley to win. He had money on Colby Covington even. He thought he would win. After the fact, he was talking shit to me about how I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm a retard. I shouldn't be saying those words, but shouldn't be saying those words. I'll stop after this video. Trust me, I will. But Colby Covington, man, what happened? You were the guy that was pushing the cardio, putting the pressure. You couldn't do neither against Buckley. You shot for a takedown in the first round. Your striking is not on the level of Buckley. I thought you have decent striking. It's underrated because of the volume you can put on someone and set up your takedowns to tire them out. But Buckley's power was just too much. Your eye got messed up. Covington shot a few takedowns in the first round. All of them stuffed completely. Covington then later on, in the second round. Ever since the rules of MMA changed, I was thinking when I was watching this fight, now that they're rating more on damage, Covington's screwed, man. His entire thing was just control time. And now that's gone. He wasted his entire prime sitting out fighting once a year because he thought it was the smart thing to do to get a title shot. You could have made some serious money, made some serious advancements to your legacy, but instead you sat out for a lot of it. You absolute fucking buffoon. What were you thinking? You idiot. Low IQ. And you know what the worst part of all of this is? Colby Covington came out with Hulk Hogan as his walkout guy. He came out to, I am a real American. Fight for the rights of of every man. I'm yawning because I'm just so bored of Colby Covington's fucking antics. Stop this shit. You took this fight on short notice. I thought you knew something we didn't know. I thought your pressure was greater. I thought your cardio was greater. I thought you would eventually... I think your chin was greater, in all honesty. I thought you would eventually be able to wear down Buckley and then eventually beat him. But you are washed. You are a washed fighter. I wouldn't be surprised if you and Usman 2 or 3 years down the line are fighting on the prelims of a pay-per-view and a newer fan is like, why are we getting these two scrubs fighting in the main event of a big prelims? And then like I have to be like, you don't know. I've seen shit that you've never seen. If you weren't there, you don't know what it's like. You had to be there. One of the all-time greats rivalry in the welterweight division. But it feels like they're just completely fallen off. Chael Sonnen was there as his mouthpiece. Not only was Chael Sonnen there as his mouthpiece, Hulk Hogan was there. He watched you lose. Donald Trump just got elected as the president of the United States. He just watched you lose, Colby Covington. You are a fucking disgrace to America. Not to America. You are a disgrace to America. You ain't getting no more phone calls, man. It's over. Buckley looked amazing. Buckley pushed the pressure. Buckley had the cardio. He had the power in his hand. He blooded up Colby's eyes so badly in the third round they ended up stopping the fight. And he was beating the shit out of Colby every single round before that. In the second round, guess what happened? Colby Covington shoots a takedown, eventually gets it, but then Buckley's right back on his feet. In the third round, the same thing happens. He eventually gets a takedown on Buckley. Doesn't do any damage, and the Colby Covington has been figured out, man. He's not doing any damage to you. He has no power. If he can't just control you every single round, and I mean every single round, he ain't doing it. Covington will just never win fights that he's not supposed to win. Anytime Covington is a fucking underdog, he's not winning that fight. Isn't that heart, that grit, that versatility to his game? No power in your hands. You can't really threaten Buckley. Buckley's just pushing forward like you were nothing, like a pushover. I remember for those takedowns, Buckley stuffed you. It felt like Buckley was going to get a takedown on you. And at one point, he had a takedown on you. He had a full mount on you. And you barely just gave up your back. Thank God Buckley's not a high-level jiu-jitsu guy. You gave up your back and you managed to get out of it. I can't believe Colby Covington. You've been exposed terribly, man. And by the way, fuck that referee. His eye was bleeding, I understand, but they're in a fight. You're gonna get a cut over your eye. It wasn't like it was fucking closed up anyway, referee. So Colby Covington is literally there looking at the fucking thing. And Colby Covington gave up, man. The ref was like, come on, what's up with you happening with your eye? And Colby Covington was like, I think the ref maybe hold up some fingers and Colby Covington just did the... I don't know if that's what actually happened. My memory's a little bit foggy from that fight. But he just didn't fight it enough. He didn't feel like he wanted to be there. He probably just thought to himself, oh, you know what? If I lose like this, here's this little narrative I can pull out of my asshole and be like, oh, well, actually, I wanted to fight. I was beating Buckley. It was 1-1, or maybe it was 2-0 to me. Did you see I was outvoting him? Or maybe I don't think even he can say 2-0. I think even he will say 1-1. He will say I was winning the third round. Complete lie. Just because you got to take that on Buckley doesn't mean anything. He goes getting fucking destroyed. He's getting pinged around that cage. Colby Covington, you're done, man. You're done. I think the next fight for Colby Covington to have is against Vicente Luque or Jeff Neal, but I think Jeff Neal beats him. Jeff Neal's underrated. Jeff Neal's aged gracefully throughout the years. He hasn't gotten much better, but he hasn't gotten much worse. He's consistent. Covington's just fallen off a cliff, just spiraling out of control. A prime Colby beats Buckley, in my opinion. Buckley was a guy in the middleweight division. He couldn't beat Imavov, and Imavov is top 5 level, so don't get me wrong. No shame in that, but then he couldn't beat Chris Curtis. Got caught by Chris Curtis. You need power in your hands. Are we really about to get Colby Covington versus Wonderboy Thompson? Colby Covington gets his wish of fighting an old, washed-up legend, and that's the only person he can beat nowadays. Colby Covington, you're done, mate. I had faith in you. I can't believe I had faith in you. I doubled down even. I shouldn't have, but I did. $125 and $185. $250 I had. $250. Let that sink in. That's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money. You can buy a lot of things with $250. Like a lot of things. I put on Colby Covington thinking that my money was safe because Colby Covington's a great fighter. The pressure, the cardio. He's a bitch. Didn't want to be there after the eye poke. And he knew he was going to lose. Because there's the thing, right? If Colby Covington's down 3 rounds to nothing, he can't win anymore. You know why? Because he can't finish anybody. He's going to find the submission. He usually isn't that high level. He'll just grind and grind and grind and hope that he can win rounds off of you. And win more than you win. He'll not finish you. Doesn't have any power. Can't submit you. I'm still a Covington fan, but I'm just really disappointed in Covington, man. He's just been exposed so brutally. In total, I lost $57.50 on this card. My total profits for the year, or since UFC France, really, is $1,721. $1,721.44. So I lost money. There you go. I lost money. I'll see you guys next time. Like and subscribe to the video. I'm at 154 subscribers, man. Colby Covington, just wow. Your next fight can't... I mean, it has to be a fight night main event. That's the level Colby Covington's at. As a fight night main eventer. He probably wanted some money. He's like, oh, last minute, last chance. I'll fight him. Shafka would have killed you, man. What are you on about? $1,721.44 is my total profits. Covington's done. See ya, Covington. 154 subscribers. Give me 200, guys. Come on. If you like my videos, I know I lost money. If you followed my bets, I'm sorry that I lost you money. I'll make it up to you. I bet you. Next year, we're coming back stronger than ever. I'll get right into the fight researches for the first 2 cards at least. See you next time. Like and subscribe. 154, give me 200.